morning, everybody. It's Tom Christie back in the workshop, and this will be session 4 of carving a Drake Greater Scaup decoy. In the previous sessions, we've got the head all finished up, the body sculpted and hollowed out. And in this session, we'll finish things up, get the decoy assembled, get the keel put on, hopefully get some flotation done, so that we can seal the bird up and get it ready for paint. If you're enjoying my channel and getting value out of it, please hit the subscribe button. That does help me out. It's totally free. So I just want to continue to build this channel with resources for people that want to carve decoys or wildfowl. So let's get going. Just a quick view of the keel. I've got it sealed up and ready to go. It's walnut, 1 inch thick, put a bevel on the edges, and sealed up the anchor hole and the keel screw holes with 2-part epoxy inside, because I don't like the water going inside the keel and soaking into the wood. So that's all watertight and ready to go when we're ready to weight the decoy. The epoxy sculpt has cured overnight, and now I can do some final shaping up of the eyes. I'm just going to open it up a little bit more, give it a little more character, and it's easy to do with an X-Acto and this epoxy sculpt. And then I'm going to smooth things out around the eye. And I'm doing this scraping with the X-Acto so that I don't have to get sandpaper close to the eyes where I potentially could scratch them. And this does a nice job of smoothing out the epoxy sculpt around the eye. So I'll work on the eyes a little bit, and then I'll do a little bit of sanding. And you can see that eye, hopefully you can see that eye is shaping up nice. Going to show a lot of life in the eye. Just doing a little final sanding of the epoxy sculpt. Put my thumb over the eye to protect it and just smooth everything out. This is 150 grit sandpaper. Now I'm just going to take an old burr that I use for this purpose, because this 2-part epoxy does tend to clog up burrs, so you don't want to use your brand new burrs for this process. But I'm going to remove the residual DevCon epoxy and just rough up the joint area a little bit so that we can smooth things out and make sure we have a nice smooth seam between the two halves here. And I'll do that entirely around the decoy. Now that I've got the glue ground off the joint, I'm just going back with 80 grit sandpaper and smoothing things out and getting rid of any remaining glue and getting rid of the grind marks. And then the seam is really looking nice and tight, but I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of a feather coat of Bondo over the seam, just so none of that seam translates through the paint when I'm all finished with the decoy. I'm going to use acetone on a rag and just wipe that over the seam to get rid of any residual dust. Make sure it's nice and clean to promote bonding of the Bondo. Got my Bondo mixed up, and I've just got a little piece of plastic. And I just want to feather coat this. Just to cover the seam, and that's it. Try to wipe off any excess. And feather it out as I go. Got to work fast because this Bondo sets up pretty quick. Just a quick look at that all the way around. Let that set. Now for some important decision making about how I want this head set. I've got some options with enough on the neck and the breast to inset this in kind of a head forward tucked position. So dig down into the cape and kind of put it in this position. There's also the kind of head down right angle position, which is also kind of nice, especially from the back view as it's preening, or I can twist it further around and put it back in a preening position like this, preening on the cape and scapulars. A lot of different options, and I'm going to ponder that for a while. I think it's really important to set it where it really appeals to me, and that's all you can do is make a decoy that you like. The judges may not agree. That's okay. I'm going to ponder this for a while. After looking at it for a while, I think I want to go in this type of position with the bill kind of angled right towards the wing out here. And so I've penciled in where the head needs to be and kind of a bill indication there, and got an angle. And now I need to take material out here and flatten this off on this angle so that I can inset the head into the body here in the proper position. Little tricky, little iterative, trial and error, but that's where I think I want to go with this particular decoy. So we'll go to the grinding bench and get a little material off here and begin to cut and fit that head into position. I'm going to use this 3/4 inch cylindrical burr and just kind of following that penciled guideline, put an angled flat surface on the bird here. And then I'll go back and forth until I get a nice fit between the head and the breast in this position, and make sure the head is level as we look at it from the front. So I can't just grind a flat shelf on here. The shelf has to be in alignment with the head turn, if that makes sense. I want to bring the head over and just look at the fit. I've got a little bit of an angle on the head that I need to straighten out. So I'll make an adjustment that's closer to where I want to be. So I'm going to pencil in the areas that I need to continue to remove wood to make a nice tight fit as this head meets the body. And I'm going to switch to the 1/4 inch cylindrical burr to give me a little more control. I don't need to remove a lot of wood, just some in some targeted areas. So I'm going to clear this area out where I need a little more clearance for the head and neck to go down into the cape. And I'm using this like an end mill, which is nice, and this 1/4-inch burr with teeth on the end of it. You can get into tight spots easily with that. Closer, I've got a little more work to do. And I just thought I'd show you this going back and forth. I've got to rock it down a little bit more, so I'm going to take more wood off this side so that the head is not in an awkward tilt when it's set on the body. So I'll speed through the rest of this process. And 2 times speed here. I'm just cleaning that surface off so I get back to a nice flat shelf that'll match up with the head. And that's getting closer. Still got a little work to do. So I need to clear out some area here to allow that head to turn just a bit more. Now I want to take the head back just a little bit. I think it would look better. So I'm going to clear out some material back here to allow that head to slide back a little bit farther and get the bill close to where I want it to be in that preening position. So that's starting to look pretty good. I'll check the level. Should be good to go. Made some final adjustments to level the head, and I'm just doing a check with a square here and looking at the center line. And this is a good way to eyeball whether you have a level headset or not. And that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to set the head with 2-part epoxy. So I'm putting material on both surfaces so we get a good bond. And then I also want to put a little bit on the edge of this bill here where it touches the scapulars in back and cape. It just kind of gives it an anchor point for strength there. And as my dad used to say, the die is cast. So that is the head position. I'm not going to be changing that at this point. Looks nice. Kind of goes along with the wing out preening position. I like it. Now I'm going to use this little flame-shaped burr and run it lightly over the bondo just to take the bondo back down to close to where the seam is. I'm just taking the high spots off and just a very light touch, so I'm not putting any deep scratches into the wood itself. I'm just trying to clean the bondo off, get it out of the way so that we can do some finish sanding. So I'll go completely around the decoy like this to get that bondo off. And you can see I'm pushing it away from me again, and that takes a lighter cut than if I'm pulling it towards me with the rotation of the bit. Then I'll just clean things up with some sandpaper and hand sanding again. I want to feather everything out so there are no obvious ridges left from the bondo. A lot of my decoys I'll use bondo for the neck joint. On this particular one, since it's so tight down in here, I'm using acetone with plastic wood and pressing it into the neck joint. I cleaned the joint off with acetone first. I'm using a screwdriver to really press that into the neck joint. And this area underneath is particularly hard to get to, and the reason I want to use the plastic wood here is I can use the acetone to smooth things out, and then I won't have a lot of smoothing or grinding work to do in this very tight area under the bill, between the bill and the breast here. So I'll go ahead, and the acetone helps me just smooth everything out. So it'll just need a light sanding after I'm done. All right, that wasn't easy to do, but I think I've got that laid in there pretty good. Blended out all the way around. And I'd rather be doing that work with a paintbrush with acetone on it rather than trying to grind all of that and risking grinding up the bill while I'm trying to smooth out the neck joint. So it's looking good. Just a quick trip on the belt sander to clean off the bottom of the Decoy and make it nice and flat and smooth for the keel and for sealing. Looks good. Then I use a propane torch to heat up my brand, and I like to leave a permanent mark like this in case the signature ever fades. It's just a nice embedded remark in the Decoy with my TC brand. I'm going to get the water line off my pattern and transfer that to the bird now that I have the bottom prepped and flat. And this will give me a guideline as I'm floating the bird where I want it to ride in the water. Level and at the proper depth. Just going to finish up here with some light sanding of the plastic wood around the neck joint and blend that into the surrounding wood. I'm going to seal the Decoy up with about 4 or 5 coats of Deft. By the way, Deft has changed their name to ProLux, in case you haven't run into that yet. It's the same material, different company name at this point, but it seems to apply and be the same as the old Deft. Okay, I've got the keel taped on in position. I've got about 6 ounces of lead. I'm leaning towards the back of the Decoy here, and we'll see what it looks like. That side really looks good. Tail's right on the water the way I want it. This side looks good too. Got lucky again. That looks great. It's right where I want it to be. Let's see if it's gonna self-right. Shouldn't be a problem. All right. I've marked the position of the lead here, and I've set a stop so that I don't punch through the bottom, but I get down as low as possible in the keel. And I'm gonna drill out a pocket here for the lead to slide into so it can be inside the keel. Got some 2-part epoxy. I'll put that in the slot here. pocket. Coat the inside of the pocket with glue, epoxy. Now I'm going to set my weights down in there. Little glue between them so they don't rattle around. Then I want to put this filler spacer that I made out of Tupelo to kind of close up the, put the lid on this. Try not to make a mess, and then I'll use the remaining epoxy just to seal that so there's no moisture can get in there. Then I use some clear silicone adhesive, put those on the screws and also the screw holes so that when I drive the screws down, we get a good seal around the screw hole where it penetrates the decoy. And I'm driving those screws into those oak blocks that I installed inside the decoy, so I get a good firm attachment of the keel to the decoy. And now I'm just wiping off the excess clear adhesive that has squeezed out on either side, and that way I know I've got a good seal in that area. Just a final lock them in place. Good. All right, I got the decoy masked off the bottom because I like the natural wood finish on the bottom, and painted it with a primer coat, just gray primer. Give you a quick 360. It's still wet, so I don't want to pick it up. Looking good. Okay, well that concludes our carving series on carving the bluebill drake, Greater Scaup Drake, in a preening position. I hope it's been helpful. I mentioned at the beginning of the video series that I will put a full-blown how-to painting video together on this bird from beginning to end, and I will have that for sale on my website at tomchristieart.com, along with about 20 other painting videos as soon as I finish the project. So hopefully this has been helpful, and until next time, Tom Christie signing out. Good carving to all of you, and have fun out there.